Imagine a world where gold from Africa, spices from India, and silk from China traveled thousands of miles, without a single passport, border, or bank. The story of ancient trade routes is the story of the world's first global economy. Because long before modern nations existed, merchants created invisible highways connecting civilizations. Every trade route began with a simple human need: food, metal, cloth, or spices. But these needs soon transformed into powerful economic networks. The earliest traders were not kings or armies. They were nomads and caravan merchants. They carried goods across harsh deserts, freezing mountains, and dangerous forests. Every step they took shaped the future of global finance. The Silk Road became the backbone of early global trade. It stretched from China all the way to the Mediterranean. It wasn't just a road, it was a system of thousands of interconnected paths. Chinese silk moved west, Roman gold moved east, and in between, traders grew rich. But wealth was only part of the story. Knowledge also traveled with every caravan. Papermaking techniques moved from China to the Islamic world. Mathematics moved from India to the Middle East, and philosophy and astronomy spread across continents. Trade routes became information highways thousands of years before the internet. Ancient markets became financial hubs. Caravansaries, massive rest houses, worked like early banks. They stored goods, protected travelers, and settled disputes. They reduced risk in a dangerous world, because a merchant's biggest fear was loss, not warfare. A sandstorm could destroy goods faster than an army. To solve this, traders created early insurance systems. Merchants paid fees for protection. If a caravan failed, the loss was shared. This was one of humanity's first risk management systems. Trade brought prosperity to entire cities. Tax systems were built to control it. Empires expanded to protect it. And every ruler knew, controlling trade meant controlling power, but trade also created cultural mixing. A Roman who never visited China still wore Chinese silk. A Chinese scholar who never saw the Indian Ocean still read Buddhist texts brought by Indian merchants. The world became connected long before globalization had a name. The Indian Ocean Trade Network became the world's mightiest sea-based economy. Unlike land routes, sea routes carried massive quantities of goods. Arab sailors mastered monsoon winds. They discovered that the ocean had a seasonal rhythm. Winds blew one way for months and reversed direction later. This allowed ships to leave, trade, and return predictably. The monsoon system became the engine of early global shipping. India became the center of this oceanic economy. Spices, cotton, and precious stones left Indian ports. In return came gold, ivory, and exotic goods from Africa. From the east came silk and porcelain from China. This was not just trade. It was a circular economy connecting 3 continents. African kingdoms like Aksum and Kilwa became wealthy gateways. Their ports linked the deep interior of Africa to the wider world. Arab merchants built thriving coastal cities like Muscat, Aden, and Zanzibar. These cities worked like modern trade hubs, similar to Dubai or Singapore today. Trade routes also created early capitalism. Merchants pooled money together to buy ships. Profits were shared. Losses were divided. This was a primitive version of joint stock companies. It allowed middle-class traders to gain unimaginable wealth, but sea trade was risky. Storms could sink entire fleets. Pirates roamed the waters hunting for treasure. To keep trade alive, new financial tools were born. Bills of exchange replaced heavy coins. Credit replaced cash. Trust replaced physical proof. And suddenly, long-distance trade became faster than ever. The Persian Gulf, Red Sea, and East African coast became arteries of global commerce. China's economic influence expanded massively because of maritime trade. Chinese coins were found in Africa. African beads were found in China. This proves ancient trade routes created the first truly global web of exchange. Meanwhile, overland routes continued to flourish. Camels revolutionized desert trade. They could survive days without water. Caravans grew larger. And deserts that once blocked travel became economic corridors. Salt caravans from the Sahara became legendary. Gold from West Africa moved north. Books and scholars moved south. Trade shaped intellectual progress. Where goods moved, ideas followed. Where ideas moved, civilizations transformed. The world's first global economy reached its peak during the medieval period. At this time, the Silk Road and Indian Ocean routes merged into a vast network. No single empire controlled it, yet everyone depended on it. Chinese dynasties fueled economic growth with silk and tea. Indian kingdoms thrived on spice and textile exports. The Islamic world became the financial center of global trade. Baghdad, Samarkand, Damascus, and Cairo became the Wall Street of the ancient world. Their banks, markets, and trading laws were advanced and reliable. They introduced credit checks, contracts, receipts, and commercial law. Merchants could now trade safely over thousands of miles. The Arabic word sak gave birth to the modern word check. This made long-distance trade smooth and safe. Europe, once isolated, joined the economy through Mediterranean ports. Venice and Genoa became giants of maritime trade. They transported goods between Asia and Europe. Europeans were fascinated by Asian wealth. Gunpowder, paper, spices, medicine, and luxury textiles flowed in. But Europe exported far less back. This imbalance pushed European kingdoms to search for new routes. This is how exploration began. Columbus, Vasco da Gama, and Magellan sailed in search of shortcuts to the riches of Asia. They were driven by trade, not curiosity. These voyages changed history forever. Globalization exploded. For the first time, every major continent became part of the same economic system. But ancient trade routes did more than move goods. They moved culture. Languages blended. Religions spread. Technologies evolved. Diseases traveled too. Trade could create prosperity. Trade could also create catastrophe. The Black Death moved along the Silk Road before reaching Europe. It reshaped demographics and economies for centuries. But humanity rebuilt. And trade continued to shape the world. By the time the early modern period arrived, the foundations of our global economy were already set. Joint stock companies, maritime insurance, credit and banking systems, currency exchanges, international trade laws. Every modern economic pillar began on those ancient roots. The world you live in today, banking, shipping, global markets, multinational trade exists because merchants thousands of years ago took risks across deserts, oceans, and mountains. Their courage built the first global economy. Their roots became the blueprint for modern globalization. And their legacy still powers the world. If you want more powerful stories that reveal how ancient economies shaped our modern world, make sure to like, share, and subscribe for the next episode.